Hi, I'm Tara Lynn of Geek Saga Entertainment, and welcome to Dunk and Egg Tales. Woo! This podcast series covers HBO's Night of the Seven Kingdoms, episode by episode, with myself, an avid reader of all things ASOF, and my amazing co-host Manny, a Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon fan who is unsullied, aka has never read the books, being your stalwart hosts. So first things first, you can find me on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at A Geek Saga.
And I'm Manny, the aforementioned unsullied co-host, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Manissimo Art. Thanks for joining us for this episode, which will cover Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Season 1, Episode 6, titled The Morrow.
As a reminder, expect spoilers from the episode we're covering. And at this point, the whole first season of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but less obvious, there will be only very minimal book spoilers from the Night of the Seven Kingdoms novella collection, which is, of course, the source material for this show, but only up to and including what has happened in aired episodes of the show. We will kick off with our episode summary, then get into our tallest tales, aka our hot takes from the episode, followed by our favorites roundup featuring our personal fave things. And while we don't have new Night of the Seven Kingdoms episodes for Manny to make any predictions about, we will be closing out with a chat about the new Hot D trailer that just dropped. And mayhaps the Maester will have some Hot D Season 3 predictions during that. I would wink, but I can't really wink with my left eye. I can wink with my left eye, but it looks really weird. I can really only properly wink with my right eye, and you can't see it. So, and I'm not going to show anybody the way my eye looks because it still looks gross. Even 3+ weeks post surgery. But anyway, yeah, wink, wink.
Wink. We also have a rating system that we will, as in our Hot D Takes series, fill in when and where we please. And that system includes rating things on a scale of 1 to 10 dunk eggs.
Just one last piece of business before we dig in. Don't forget that Geek Saga Entertainment has a Patreon with 10 tiers ranging from $1 a month to $40 a month. It offers tons of ways to support us and receive some great perks in return, including access to live streams of these Night of the Seven Kingdoms episodes. Obviously, this is the last one of those, but the $3 and up patrons also get the video recordings, which we do not release to the public at all. And we're going to think up some other perks along with our State of the Saga episodes that are live streamed for patrons only, etc. So I've been needing to revamp this. I keep saying I'm going to do it and life keeps getting in the way, but hey, maybe in the next couple months. So check it out at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.
And now it's time for the tall and the bald of it, our very brief for this series episode summary.
Interesting choice to kick off the finale with music that makes you feel like you're about to watch some noir style show or that you're in a bar in New Orleans, which we know Lionel Baratheon would love, but also, sir, this is a Westeros.
They must have listened to one of the podcasts we did where I was going on about noir shit, and they were like, we're going to put this one in for Manny. We got to give him a little something, because I felt like they were massaging me a bit with this opening. All right, I'm just saying. But speaking of Lionel, he wants Dunk to join him at Storm's End and is more than a little bit annoyed with Dunk being so down and out over a prince who, in Lionel's words, really didn't risk anything by fighting against men sworn to protect him.
Unfortunately for Dunk, Lionel is one of few people who are happy to be around him. Raymond Fossaway is, of course, the other one, but he missed Dunk at his camp and has otherwise clearly been busy celebrating and getting tricked into marrying a Prego camp follower, apparently.
Whatever. He seems happy, whereas Baelor's son, Prince Valar, and Baelor's brother, Prince Maekor, are decidedly not. Understandable, but at the same time, Dunk didn't ask Baelor to fight for him.
And at least Maekor is willing to offer Dunk a place at Summerhall so that Egg can continue being his squire. But Dunk at least wants to be done with princes, and who can blame him? Even seeing Egg doesn't seem to change his mind.
But talking to Daeron, of all people, kind of does. Only Dunk still refuses to take Egg on at Summerhall and will only do so if they can travel together and he can teach Egg the way Sir Arlen taught him.
Side note in regards to Sir Arlen, the flashback in this episode once again doles out the very strong possibility that he never knighted Dunk. Since he popped back out of his stupor long enough to finish his story, mayhaps he could have actually knighted Dunk after that, but at this point it's almost neither here nor there considering all that's happened.
Back in the main timeline, Egg heads to Arion's room with a knife, but fortunately for Egg's innocence, his father is there to stop him. But even after this, Maekar still refuses to take Dunk up on his offer to take Egg on the road.
Honestly, how rude. And also how disappointing for Dunk, who obviously does want Egg around. And although he gets a bit of a pick-me-up when Raymond brings Sweetfoot around, having bought her back for Dunk, in the end, Dunk refuses the gift, insisting she'd be better off living in Raymond's orchard.
And so Dunk prepares to get back on the road, and lo and behold, Egg appears, claiming that Maekar sent him to serve Dunk, and yay to that.
So off they go, presumably on their way to Dorne based on Egg's suggestion, though in the very end, it turns out that Egg ran off of his own accord. I mean, no one is surprised that Egg was lying, right?
No, I mean, we saw that one. Right. So let's move on to the tallest tale number 1. It's really the friends we made along the way, aka let's talk about Lionel offering Dunk a place at Storm's End, and of course, Dunk and Raymond.
Yeah, Lionel remains silly in this episode, but he also makes Dunk a great offer. He sincerely wants to have Dunk around, and Lionel's comment about how Baylor didn't really risk what the others did by fighting for Dunk is on point. We continue to love Lionel a lot. That is all, right? Mm-hmm. And honestly, even though I knew that Dunk wasn't going to go to Storm's End, I was a lot more sad knowing that was the case after the relationship they built between him and Lionel in the show. Like in the book, I don't even remember, honestly, in the novella, if Lionel invites him. I don't think he does, but I could be wrong about that. Either way, I already knew he wasn't going to go, knowing, what happens next. So, but in this case, it made me kind of like, aw, like he could have had a lot of fun at Storm's End and learned things too.
Yeah, but Dunk doesn't like fun. He doesn't like that much fun. I love Dunk, but he just doesn't like fun.
He's just a little bit of an introvert, I think. Like he likes being around like one person, maybe two people, but once it gets to be more than that, he's like, no, this is too much.
He hasn't gotten to that age yet. When he gets to Lionel's age, he'll be doing the same shit Lionel's like, you know what? I was fucking noble once and fuck that shit. Look, dude, I did that shit in my life. Back in like the late 90s, I was like a big hardcore martial artist, and I was all like, no, I'm gonna walk the path and walk the way. Now I am 100% fucking Lionel. 100 fucking percent.
As for Raymond, might be a bit of an idiot about women / about how sex works. I mean, Rowan is so obviously not having his kid. She's like 5 months pregnant at least. Yeah. I'm not the greatest at judging how pregnant a person is, but when your belly is round enough that you can set your hand on top of it, I would say
you're probably
definitely no less than 4 months, but obviously not his kid. But honestly, if he's happy, I'm happy. And Raymond truly was the friend that Dunk deserved. And I mean, buying Sweetfoot back for him. What a guy. What a guy. Yeah, it was so good.
That was sweet. It was certainly a happy end for Raymond, no pun intended. It felt a little bit rushed, honestly, but I will say, dude, it was cool to see that. They were kind of the underdogs in that battle to begin with, so it's kind of nice to see somebody like reaping the rewards of the outcome of it. And she's pretty and stuff, so it's like, well, whatever. He can be a baby daddy. That's fine. He can take care of that kid, whatever, as long as he's got someone.
The biggest question in my mind is if she's right and it is a boy, it's not his. So that means that if his family doesn't balk at him actually being married to her and actually somehow believes that this is his child, it's going to be really interesting. In the books, this doesn't happen. So and I don't know that we ever even know. And I did look at Raymond's Wikipedia page, Wiki of Ice and Fire, or whatever it is page, and there's nothing in there that I could see by a brief skim about a wife specifically. So it's technically, if they go canon, and I don't know if we're ever going to even know that this continues and like they actually are married, and like his family doesn't say, no, that's definitely not your kid. You know what I mean? But like this isn't his kid. So in the end, if that were to happen, that means the entire Green Apple Fossaway line is not true Fossaways, which is an interesting take, but whatever. At this point, I'm just like, Raymond's happy. I'm happy. He deserves it. Even if she's tricking him a little bit, if he's still happy with her, even if he finds out, I don't know.
Regardless.
Go him, I guess.
I mean, exactly. At least he's happy.
This show really is all about the friends you make along the way.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And and Lionel being Lionel, I loved his comeback at Dunk when Dunk was like getting all pissed off because of like Baylor. And he's like, no, man, he's like, we fought for you. We went out there and did that. And I thought that was just really awesome because it was a really great comeback. And I was like, you know what? The guy's fucking right. Like, I didn't even think about that. But shit, you're getting all hung up on this fucking one guy when your friend stood by your side. Lionel certainly didn't have to be there. Neither did fucking Raymond either. it was nice that he gave him the option to go with him. But yeah, it was cool that he gave him an option here. And in classic Lionel thing, like I loved the way Lionel deals with Dunk, right? Where he's like, you know what, dude? He's like, you come with me and I'll love you like a brother. And if you don't, then I'll hate you like a brother. It's that kind of dialogue that just makes me love his character, where he's like, we're brothers regardless, but I'm either going to love you or hate you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and in the end, you know, he doesn't actually hate Dunk and won't actually hate Dunk. He'll be sad maybe for like 5 minutes, but then he'll go get drunk and meet somebody else along the way. And
yeah, exactly. It's just, it was good shit. Good fucking writing.
Yeah, it really was. Tallest tale number 2, making each other offers they can't refuse. Makar and Dunk, that is, except that, of course, they both refuse the other's offer and just sigh. Both of them had really good points here.
Look, I just knew that there was going to be some call on Dunk to stick around with the Targs, right? Like, I just knew it, right? Because, I mean, like, when you have a good night like that, and he's so, like, not even noble, because let's face it, with the Targaryens, it's kind of hit or miss on what's noble or not for them, right? They just want power. So, I don't know. But either way, he's going to refuse. That wasn't a surprise. You know, that's not his life. That's not the way he's going to be able to raise Egg properly to begin with. All of us, we try to raise our kids or people like that in the same way that we did if we thought it was like good. So Dunk still looks at Sir Arlen like, yeah, okay, like he was still properly done as a squire and stuff like that, even though it was chaos, that he wants to do that type of lifestyle, whether on the road, doing all this kind of stuff, you know? And that's totally great. But of course he was going to refuse. I thought it was a good deal, but yeah, how are you going to raise Egg to be a squire, like with that blonde privilege? So I'm kind of with Dunk on this one, where I'm like, you know what? Yeah. I didn't want to say white privilege because they're all white. Targaryens, you know?
You got it right, though. You got it right. Well, I guess except for Baelor's son. He does have brown hair, but, yeah. And Baelor himself, but still. The actual offers, the back and forth was very true to the novella, which I liked, which is why I included this as a tallest tale. I also could not resist the idea of saying, making each other offers that they can't refuse, in that voice. Let's be real. But yeah, it was very true to the books, maddening, just like it is in the books, because it's like, my God, Dunk, you could have the life, but also so understandable as to why, especially at this point, that he doesn't want it. You don't want it.
They don't want it.
But then in the end, he comes back with an offer that gives the option of Egg staying with him, like him and Egg clearly both want. And unfortunately, Makar is like, no, he's my last son. And I will say that I think in the novella, I skimmed these passages for another reason that I'll get into in a little bit. In the book, Makar is angry about it. The wording and everything is pretty much the same for the most part, in terms of like, no, I don't want to give my only son up to live on the road. That's dangerous and stuff. But in the show, I liked that they gave Makar that extra line where he's like upset, he's sad, and he's like, he's my last son. And really what it is like Egg is his last son, his last chance to raise a Targaryen that's worthy of being a ruler of some sort. I mean, at this point, Egg is still so far down the line that how could that possibly happen? It was really well done, especially with that little addition of like, okay, so Makar, it's not just him being like, my son's better than that. It's also like, you can tell that he also doesn't want to lose this son the way he kind of feels he's lost the other ones. And he is going to lose Aerion because he's sending Aerion to the free cities. Yeah. And who knows what's going to happen to him over there. He's hoping he'll turn out better for it, but we'll see, I guess. We'll
see. He's not going to turn out better for it, but we'll see.
Probably not.
Tallest tale number 3. And just like that, we're back where we started, aka Dunk and Egg together again, with Egg still being there of his own accord / against his father's will. Of course he did that. Of course.
That last bit was an interesting take because it's definitely not explicitly stated in the text. I actually went back and skimmed the last few pages of the Seven Kingdoms and the first half of The Sworn Sword, which is the second novella. It's not explicitly stated that Magar changed his mind, and I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to go too far with this, but there's also nothing that explicitly states he didn't give Egg permission. So anyway, I suppose that's neither here nor there because really we're just glad that Dunk and Egg are on the road together. Heart, heart, heart.
Yep. The show ends pretty much as it starts. I mean, this is what makes the show good. There's no grand story arc, nothing crazy, just adventures, bro. Just adventures, you know? After this episode, I'm so on board to see what happens in the next season's shenanigans. I love that Egg comes back and of course is fucking lying. I saw it, I was like, okay, this is Egg being Egg. All right. It's awesome. Fucking love it. It's predictable, but it's good. Egg knows what.
That's the thing though. It wasn't predictable for me for them to have that little add-on scene at the end.
No.
I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't expecting that add-on scene, but when Egg showed up, yeah, because that little ending part there was kind of surprising that they kept going with it, because I was like, okay, I guess they're going to leave it up in the air about, well, did he get permission? Did he not? You know what I'm saying? It kind of fits the whole, like, is Dunk a knight? Is he not a knight? Like, it kind of fits that thing. So then at the end, when they did that, I was like, well, of course, Egg just went on it on his fucking own accord and did it, because Egg's a fucking badass. He's going to do whatever the fuck he wants, you know? Like, you got to love that shit. I love that fucking 11-year-old or however old he is. Like, fucking God bless him. You do you, baby. You know, just fucking do it.
Yeah, no, it was really cute. Although at the same time, it's like, oh, how is this gonna work?
Yeah.
Like in the future, now that Maekar is like, what the fuck? Where's my son? Like I said, it is an interesting take. I'm not against it by any means. I thought it was amusing for them to literally bring it back full fold. Not only are they back together again, but they're back together again with Egg lying to Dunk. Yeah, they're back together again with Egg lying to Dunk and having run away from his family. Although I will say, we didn't see that Egg was listening in on the second conversation that they had. So it's like, how did he know? I guess we're just supposed to assume that he was listening in, like, oh, he was listening in the first time, so obviously he was listening in the second time.
Yep.
I guess it's time for our favorites roundup. So the music in this episode was a choice.
It certainly was.
Or well, at least the song at the very beginning and the song at the very end were choices. I am not against this. This is why it's in my favorites roundup, because the jazz song at the beginning is a very famous jazz song called Alone Together. I believe it was done by an artist called Kenny Dorham. And it throws you off a little bit because you don't expect it in this type of show. It felt very Knight's Tale. Again, we've said several times, I think, throughout this season that there were things that felt very A Knight's Tale. I don't think they use jazz music specifically in A Knight's Tale, but they use, there's a term for it. And Bridgerton does it too, the show on Netflix, where they take modern songs and
music,
they put them in they put them in like string music or whatever. Anachronistic, I think. At first I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, nope, this is perfect, with Lionel and the Maester just standing over Dunk looking down at him. The song itself, like I said, it's a very famous song. I don't know if you've ever heard it. I don't know how big on jazz you are, but I like it a lot.
Big jazz fan.
So I was just like, oh, I love this song. It did give it that noir feel a little bit, even though the song itself has never been used in like a noir show, or it's been used in one movie.
It's that muted trumpet, dude. You know, that is literally like the pinnacle of anything noir, is that instrument.
And then they closed with the song 16 Tons by Tennessee Ernie Ford. Oh, my love to the company store. I was like, what? Why?
Yeah.
The lyrics don't really make sense, but I still was like, okay, somehow I'm here for this. I don't know. Like neither of them really seemed to fit, not even based so much on the previous episodes when they kind of did some weird things with music, but I still kind of loved it. I still kind of loved it. Also, Lionel's line, "Caravan leaves after the roast." And it's, when he said it, I was like, huh? For like half a second, and then they immediately go to them burning Baylor's body. I was dying. Forever classy, Lionel Baratheon.
Lionel Baratheon, my man.
Stay classy.
Yeah, stay classy, baby. Me and him getting some drinks, dude. I love it. In the corporate slop talk, I'm just going to piggyback on what you said here. I'm absolutely with you on this one on the music. When that beginning scene started with the jazz, and even the ending scene, I'm like, this is the most Cowboy Bebop Game of Thrones episode I've ever seen in my life, because that is very predominant in the Cowboy Bebop universe, like in their animes. When something happens, you get the music, and you get these weird angles where it's like the two guys looking down at him and he's just sitting there all beat up. There actually is an episode of Cowboy Bebop where Spike Spiegel gets so beat up and he's all wrapped up in stuff, and Faye's talking to him or whatever, and it ends with like a song that is like not necessarily like that, but along the like same vibe.
Yeah.
So when I saw that scene, it made me think of that Cowboy Bebop scene where I was like, man. And then at the end, you know, you have to appreciate a good song that feels a little out of place for like a closing credit scene when it comes to something like that. Again, fantastic. What else did I like about this? Obviously, Lionel Baratheon. I mean, he was amazing. I want to cosplay him even more now after this episode.
Yeah.
He was just really good, because he has these really good comebacks, in particular the one he had with Dunk about that he was the one that fought for him and stuff. It was nice to see a little more of like a serious side. And of course, what is a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms episode without some type of bodily movement? So what happens like a minute into the episode? Well, we got all Lionel just pissing into the river. You know what I'm saying? Like,
having a little trouble getting started there too.
He's getting a little older. He drinks a little alcohol, you know. I mean, it
A
happens.
little.
The little, I mean, it happens to the best of us. I mean, it was great. And the biggest takeaway that I'm going to take for this episode is that this is what you call in my books, like the perfect epilogue. Nothing crazy exciting happens here.
No.
Right? This is just epilogue. And this is something that I feel like television shows and movies miss the mark so much now. I feel like this type of like epilogue-ish type of thing, unless you're reading it in a book, because the books obviously do good with that kind of stuff. But when it comes to television shows, you don't see those kind of things. And we haven't seen that in a very long time at this point, right? Because we got to end it with a huge explosion and whatever. And we're going to get 2 minutes of like, oh, here's the end, guys. Well, we're all doing good. When you have a drawn out epilogue like this, which literally is just the entire episode is just one epilogue, right? It's fantastic.
No, yeah, for real, it is.
This was just a really good storytelling. It was everyone coming off of the high, everyone sobering up at this point. It was just great. I dare say that this was probably my favorite episode out of the entire series.
Wow. Well, we'll get into ratings in a minute. There were a couple other favorite things of mine. One, just very briefly, because we already mentioned it a little bit, was Raymond buying Sweetfoot back for Dunk. That was so cute. And I love how Sweetfoot like comes trotting in and it's like, and then Raymond follows behind her.
Yeah.
She's so well trained. And but then Dunk is like, but she's not really mine. And I think maybe some of it is Dunk's pride and like not wanting to accept a gift, but also he knows he can't by himself at this point, as he believes he will be, take care of 3 horses, nor does he need 3 horses. He's like, well, she'd be happier like living in some orchards. And Raymond immediately was like, oh man, this horse, she's a beautiful horse though. Like, look at this great horse. He's so like proud immediately. And then he's like, do you like apples? It's just so cute. Although, like, what horse doesn't love apples? You could have also just given the horse the apple to bite, but I think that was probably a filming thing where they had to have him bite the bit off. But that and the little conversation between Dunk and Egg at the end when they're riding off, when Dunk is like, we could go anywhere in the 7 kingdoms, then Egg is like, 9 kingdoms. And Dunk is like, do you want a clout in the ear? And Egg just like lists them off. And it's like, that's something that drives me crazy all the time because it is a common thing for us to say like the 7 kingdoms of Westeros, but it really is 9 kingdoms. But the thing is, I think they don't ever really count Dorne or the Iron Islands. Dorne for reasons of they were never really conquered. And I think I want to say it's the Iron Islands. Maybe it's the Crownlands that they're kind of like, it's sort of like Washington, D.C., like it's not really a state.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
I actually don't know. And I've never really like looked it up or asked anybody about it who might be more knowledgeable than me. But like maybe it's like a Crownlands is DC sort of thing, but maybe also it's just like my other thought is the Iron Islands because they were dragged in super against their will and they're like constantly in rebellion too. I mean, we know from Game of Thrones that's the reason Theon is with Ned is that they rebelled again at that point, and they basically just do their own thing and nobody gives a shit about them until they absolutely have to sort of situation. I feel at least in this era of Westeros, obviously they were conquered at some point by the Targaryens like early on, but at this point it's like, oh yeah, the Iron Islands, those guys. So I don't know if it's like the Crownlands that people forget to count or the Iron Islands. I definitely feel like Dorne is one of the two, but that little conversation, I loved it so much because it's always bugged the shit out of me that there are 9 fucking kingdoms, but they always say 7 kingdoms. So yeah, that was just really fun and cute. I loved it. And also, did you notice that before they cut to the extra scene where Maekar was like, where the fuck is he about Egg, the last title card actually said Knight of the 9 Kingdoms. Which was great.
I loved it.
Good little moment.
Yeah, that was a nice little finishing touch to the episode. It was just good.
Yeah. So you said you think this is your favorite. So what would you rate this episode? 1 to 10 dunk eggs, goose eggs, whatever we're rating. Westeros breakfast sandwiches, whatever the fuck we're rating them on this.
I would give this episode a 9 out of 10, honestly. This episode was right up my alley with the way it told the story, the way it was doing stuff, the fact that it was just a nice epilogue, which I'm so butthurt that more shows don't do this. And the pacing, everything was great because there was technically one pace and that was it. It was just one pace from start to finish. It was just, I don't know. It gives me a lot of hope for the next season.
Yeah, I agree. I liked the pacing of the episode. I felt like it was exactly what it needed to be for the last bit of the story that needed to be told. I have like a couple minor gripes. I didn't love the flashback scene where they're just like reminding us yet again that Sir Arlen probably didn't knight Dunk. Like I didn't hate it, but it's like, do you need to keep pressing this? Like, okay, I get it. They probably he probably wasn't knighted. Fine. I'm not saying I hated it or disliked it even, because to be honest, also the fact that Sir Arlen was like, And Doug's like, sir, and he starts crying, and then Arlen just like rouses himself and finishes his story.
It's like
maybe he woke up enough to night dunk before he died at that point. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that happened. I don't actually think it did, but at the very least, I'm like Dunk. I would have liked to have known why he was never actually knighted, if he actually wasn't, which it seems was probably the case. I mean, I also am kind of like about the add-on of like, okay, Egg was actually lying. It did not surprise me at all that that's what they did in the show, but that's not ever really even hinted at in the novellas as far as I can remember. So for me, that was kind of like, I mean, okay, I like how they did it in the show, but they kept so close to the books on so many things that it was like, I don't know. Well, it doesn't necessarily knock off points, but I think I'd give it an 8, maybe an 8.5. I think a solid 8 is right for me. Yeah. It was a good episode though, like especially after last week's episode, knowing like how little there was that was gonna happen at this point.
Yeah, I really feel like this episode was like, I would probably call it like the beer after work. You worked your butt off, went a little overtime, and then all your coworker buds are like, hey, let's get a beer after work, and you all go get a pint somewhere and like hang out for a minute. That's what it felt like to me. I liked it.
So now that we have finished what we can say so far about Night of the Seven Kingdoms season 1, let's get into our Hot D season 3 teaser trailer discussion. This is not worth an entire episode, but yeah, Hot D season 3 teaser trailer discussion, including possible Maester Mandy predictions for Hot D season 3. What I'd like to do is I'm just gonna like real quick go through my thoughts on this. I have a bunch of brief notes on it, and then I know you have maybe some more well thought out thoughts, but I began with LOL at Alicent's surprised Pikachu face when she goes back to King's Landing from meeting with Rhaenyra at Dragonstone, and Aemon is sitting on the Iron Throne, and he's all like, where were you? And she's just like, who?
Yeah.
Then there was the Daemon, him talking over like what's happening in the trailer, and the Queen of Dragons reference. He's talking to Rhaenyra and he's like, you're the Queen of Dragons. And it's like, okay, sure. She has more of them right now, but it's not like the Greens don't have any Daemon. She is the queen and has more dragons, but I liked it though, because it was just like Queen of Dragons, it's very Game of Thrones. It brought it back a little bit. Lots of baby gone. More than I was expecting for a teaser trailer based on what I know from the text, but he's looking real rough. Real rough. There was a shot of Vhagar burning stuff at Harrenhal. Oof, that's gonna fuck some shit up. My thoughts are all over the place because I watched this trailer 3 or 4 times, and the timeline of what happens in the trailer is all over the place for me, meaning like I have no idea what happened when. Yay, Windy Boy.
Yes.
So I'm doubling the dragon. Like Vhagar burning stuff at Harrenhal. Yes. Yay, Windy Boy. I mean, really good shot of the Windy Boy too, like close up the big ma. I liked it. I did not like there was too much coleslaw.
Yes.
Sir Cole of House Law, too much of you. Too much of you.
Yes, exactly. Please go away.
But also the Northerners have arrived. Sweet. Really excited to see more of that. I mean, we saw them marching at the end of season 2, but like there was like a real quick battle shot where the Northerners were part of it. The Wolves of Winter. That's all I'm going to say. There was also a much like closer up. It wasn't a still shot, but you could call it a still shot, but you could take a fucking still of it and it would have been perfect. It was the High Towers, and the High Tower that they focus on, I think his name is Ormond, I believe. Orland or Ormond, it's something like that. Forgive me, huge ASWA fans who might listen to this if I've got the name wrong. I loved his armor. Like it had this sort of like bas relief design on it, like very medieval. Then my last kind of couple thoughts were, are they all finally gonna just let it all out in season 3? Methinks yes. Because clearly Aemond isn't happy / has concerns. And also Alicent does not really have the right to truly fully surrender for all of the Greens.
Correct.
She's the queen, quote unquote, but she's not even the queen regent. She's a dowager queen at this point. She doesn't really, she has no blood right.
Yeah.
She has no right to truly fully surrender for that whole side of things. So, good luck with that, Alicent. There are also several shots in terms of like them letting it all out, all of them. Several shots in the trailer where they're in the midst of battles, both land and sea. And not to mention shots of both Alicent and Rhaenyra looking clearly shocked, bad shocked, not just shocked, Pikachu's face shocked. So I feel like that's a portent of things to come, and none of it's very good.
For me, it's simple. I'm going to be honest here. I'm that meme of that guy at the game who's like, right. Because, like,
Yes.
look, I love House of the Dragon.
What
Don't
does
get
that
me
mean?
wrong.
What is that guy? I know exactly.
I don't know.
I wish I could describe it. I hope people who are listening to this as a podcast only know, because like the way you did it, the way you portrayed it just then was fucking perfect. And I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah.
The meme of that guy at the game with his hands on his hips and he's just got that like puss face on.
And that's how I felt watching it, right? Because I'm being cautious is what it is, where I'm just like, well, I'm not going to get too excited about this. Okay. Because let's not forget for a second that the second season trailer was just as fucking exciting in a lot of ways. And what did we get? We got 4 episodes of fucking Luigi's Mansion with fucking Damon running around, fighting ghosts or whatever the fuck he was doing, or like seeing weird shit, you know, which was fine to me, but not for like 4 fucking episodes. But
a bit too much, bit dragged out.
Yeah, it dragged out a little too much. And what I'm worried about in this season is that they're going to do the same thing, and that what we're looking at is a cool battle scene. That's great. But maybe it is a 4-episode battle scene that 2 episodes take place in the last part of this season and the other 2 take place 2 fucking years from now. That's what I'm fucking worried about. You know, like, thank you for giving me something, but give me the reach around, bro. Like if you're going to do it, you know what I'm saying? And just let me get to the climax, you know, and then you can start somewhere else. Okay. But anyways, also, why is our queen locked in her room? I honestly, let's meld this one into Maester Manny's prediction here. I feel like Alicent and Rhaenyra, they get their bearings in this point and they're like, you know what? This is fucking chaos. Like, this is madness and we need to stop this, which is why Alicent was probably like, I'll open the Red Keep. Rhaenyra is like, no, this is great. She's going to open the Red Keep and she'll surrender. And obviously she's not going to kill Alicent. She's not going to execute her. She's not going to do it because she's like, look, we just get to have peace and there's no battles, right? But Aemon and Daemon are certainly not going to let that happen. And Daemon's going to lock her ass in a fucking room and be like, you know what? I'm going to give you the throne. And I feel like that's what it was in the trailer, where he's like, this is the moment you become queen. He is like forcing her at this point, where it's like, you will be fucking queen and it's going to be done by my fucking hand kind of thing. Because maybe Rhaenyra hits a point in the season where it's like, you know what, this is madness, we can't do this. And then Daemon is going to just be like, well, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I'll lock you in the room and tell everyone that you're telling me that we need to do this, and then I'm just going to fucking do it. That's a bit of my prediction there.
I have like so many other thoughts on the trailer that I'm leaving out because like I refuse to spoil anything for you. I think that what they're going to have to, if I'm right about there are only going to be 4 seasons of House of the Dragon, this season is going to be a lot more battle heavy in one way, or some of them might be small, maybe not full on battles, but like one-on-one fights, whatever. But I think there's going to be a lot more of that, a lot less of the ghostly Luigi Mansion type of shit, because they do have to move that part of the story along to get to what they need to do to finish the show up entirely. Now, I don't know how many episodes this season is going to be. I don't know that they've announced that. If they have, I haven't been able to find it, but also I haven't like super looked into it. So whatever, go me, I guess. I'm assuming it's going to be at least 8 episodes. And they're going to be at least an hour long each. Obviously, they're not going to be like 30 minutes, you know, Night of the Seven Kingdoms length. So there's probably going to be some stuff that seems a little slow, a little filler, but I think it is going to be a lot more action heavy and a lot more, I don't even want to say going back to the first season, because the first season wasn't really action heavy either, but at least less of like the whole kind of standing around fighting ghosts. Or maybe not fighting ghosts, even though they're arguing with ghosts.
Yeah, and that's fine. If they want to have an action heavy like season, totally fine. You know, House of the Dragon has already earned its place with great writing through that first season and all that stuff. They've already done a fantastic job to where it's like, okay, if this is the moment where we're going to get our rocks off and it's going to be the dragons and fighting and all that stuff, fantastic. That's great. But just do it in the same way that you did your writing in the first like season and a half, to where you make things more weighted and more like poignant, not just like, oh, here's a dragon burning boats for the next hour. That's cool. Don't get me wrong. And I'm totally on board with it and I want to see it. Awesome. But I don't know, man. Give it weight, dude. Just give it a little weight, which I haven't given up hope on them or anything. Look, guys, just full disclosure, I didn't hate season 2 that much. Okay. I'm just being kind of a jerk about it. Okay. Like, I understand I'm just being a little jerky about it, but I still enjoyed it. It's just that it sucked because I wanted more is what it was. That's it. It's not that I hated it. It's just that I wanted more. If they made seasons, regular seasons that were 20 to 24 episodes long. Bro, you could have spent 10 episodes in Luigi's Mansion. That's fine. I would have been totally okay with that. But the fact that we got less episodes than the first season, and then you spent it doing all of this, it was like, come on, dude. And also, if you were releasing seasons on a 6-month interval like they used to fucking do in the 90s or something like that, or even if it was a year, right? Because Battlestar was one of the first shows that I watched that I was like, holy shit, I have to wait a year for the next season. And I was flabbergasted because back then when we were all watching Star Trek back in the day, you only had to wait like 4 or 5 months and the next season was out. So if they did something like that, then sure, you can spend an entire season in Luigi's Mansion. That's fine. If the next season is coming out in 5 months, yeah, sure. I'm totally okay with that. But not when I gotta wait 2 fucking years. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, we're getting 2 Song of Ice and Fire shows this year. Like we just wrapped up Night of the Seven Kingdoms and we've got 5 months because it said June. We don't know when in June. It could be the last week in June, but
that is true.
That's still like
I see what they're doing, right? So they must have heard on the podcast and how disappointed I was in the last season because they did the jazz episode in this one and they did stuff and now they're like, oh, check it out. It's in June, Manny. That's the same month of your birthday, you know? And I'm like, oh, okay. This is like the apology tour is what you're doing. All right. I'll bite.
Any other thoughts on the House of the Dragon teaser trailer? I'm hoping that the additional ones they release, we'll definitely talk about them in our State of the Saga episodes in the future, regardless of when they release them. But it's so much nicer that this one came out.
You know what? And I am really hyped about it. I'm very excited to see everything. So the train is polished and ready to leave the station so we can get on it again because I very much am excited about it. I'm just being kind of a dick, about it, but I am excited about it. And it's very exciting that it's this year and we got 2 shows this year, which is fantastic. Maybe I won't be so mad if this season doesn't like fulfill whatever dream I have, because then we'll get Night of the Nine Kingdoms like in that 1 year to kind of fill that gap. And in all honesty, with these 2 shows, I'm kind of hoping that they make more shows, that are like in the same universe and stuff like that. I don't know what material is out there for it, but it would be nice to see more,
There's a play that's happening in Stratford upon Avon that is going to be about the Mad King. So like if you can go to England and see a play this summer.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. So that sounds exactly like a thing that would be on my list of things to do after I have recovered from this surgery, moved yet again.
We'll go watch it when we get sponsored.
I mean, listen, if it was like some random year, I would probably be like, fuck yeah, I'm just doing it. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm splurging and I'm doing it, but it's not a random year. And I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully the play will come out elsewhere as well. But okay, as we close out the episode, we just want to say thank you to our listeners for joining us for Dunkin' Egg Tales. Woo! We are going to be on a break for a bit in terms of recording brand new episodes for a little while, but not to worry. We still have 3 more of our Twilight movie episodes to release, as well as a few more Dragon Con 2025 panel recordings from me. In the meantime, for the most current news and updates about the Geek Saga podcast, make sure to follow at a Geek Saga on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and/or YouTube. And also, please consider supporting us by backing our Patreon at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.